and welcome here to TalkFCB, and welcome back to the channel here today, guys, where we have plenty of important Barca news to address today, and lots of it does revolve around injuries at the club. We have some good news, and some very, very good news, by the way, but we also do have, inevitably, some concern at the club. We're going to be talking about all of that today, lots of players discussed, and as well, we've got more words from Luis Enrique, this time directed towards Araujo. We've got to discuss that too. So that's all coming up for you. Sit back, and I hope you're going to enjoy. Let's do this. But if we do indeed kick off with the fantastic super thanks donations coming in, we got one here from Nevis, who was really angry and frustrated, as we all were, with Luis de la Fuente's word, and he's wishing all the very best to Lamine Yamal. Thank you for the great support there. And also one coming in from Max here today, who started watching the channel after the defeat to Liverpool. But you're right, we won't mention that, but he has just committed to start playing college football in the US next year, and all the very best of luck with that. Thank you to all of you guys here for the great support. But if we do indeed start then with Lamine Yamal, because let's get a further update on him, because I think we've all been waiting around very anxiously, waiting for news there, hoping for no bad news. That's basically the way that I spend the entire international break, every day just hoping we can get through it without any bad injury news there. So on Yamal, he has now returned to Barcelona as they wanted, so that was really, really important there to get him away from Spain and back with Barca. And it has now been confirmed after more tests there. Lamine Yamal went through an MRI on his return, and Barcelona, after more tests now, have confirmed this afternoon that Yamal does have a hamstring strain, but it is not expected to be a serious problem. It is still being treated here very much so as an overload rather than a real injury problem here. So there is concern at Barca. It's not ideal, it's not what we wanted, but there's no serious injury problem, and it is only there a very, very light strain on Yamal. Now, even though it is not a significant injury problem, it's not a big issue, but Flick right now apparently is definitely considering the possibility not playing him on the weekend against Sevilla. That's our first game back on Sunday, and right now Flick is thinking maybe we won't take any risks with Yamal, and particularly thinking about the next week, of course. After that Sevilla game, we've got Bayern in midweek, and then we've got Real Madrid. So what do you think about that, guys? Would you indeed rest Yamal? Would you give him that bit more time there to make sure that he's absolutely right without taking any risks on him? Do let me know there if you agree with the fact that he may not be involved at the weekend. But right now, the good thing is on him, no injury. You know, it's not a serious problem. It's not something here that's going to plague us longer term. But as we did speak about yesterday, it is absolutely vital here that we look after Yamal and we make the very best decisions to keep him fit, available, and playing the kind of football that we know he can. However though, guys, why don't we move on to some good news? And not only good news, actually, this is great news. Let's talk about people that may well be playing on the weekend, because first of all, there's Gavi. We already knew that he was on the verge of his return. He's desperately wanted to be involved on Sunday against Sevilla to make his long-awaited comeback to the team, and now he's received the okay from the club there. The medical team, and indeed Hansi Flick's staff, they seem to have approved his return. It is happening. Gavi right now looks set to be back on Sunday to play some part in that game against Sevilla. And just think how he's feeling right now. Just think about all the way through this week. He's going to be counting down the days, counting down the minutes. He has worked so hard for this moment. He has waited. He's had to be patient. He's had to come through so much adversity. And he's nearly back with us. And it is happening. So happy with that news there. And then there's Fermin Lopez, because the good news very much continues here today, because this morning he returned to full training with the group, and that is absolutely fantastic news there. Great to see him back in training, because under Flick, of course, he hasn't really been able to get going yet, Fermin Lopez. We haven't really been able to see him in this team. He came back late, of course, after playing and winning at the Olympics with Spain, and then, of course, he's had injury problems, really, off the back of all of that. Remember, he played back-to-back tournaments in the summer, the Euros and then the Olympics. And let's just hope right now that he can stay injury-free, that he can get back in this team, because if he can, of course, he's going to have an impact. He's a player here who can really help us out, who can really add, what we're talking about quality depth, that's exactly what I mean there. The quality of Fermin Lopez, the ability that he has, and also the way that he can impact games, because with Fermin, it's not always just about starting games, having him in there for the whole match. He can impact the game at any moment. You bring him off the bench, and he's got that ability to make himself known, to get a big contribution there in the final third, with a goal, with an assist. We've seen his quality there in and around the penalty area, and it would be absolutely fantastic for Flick again to be able to call on him, really, for the first time. And he's now back in training. And then there is the matter of Dani Olmo, because we are hearing this morning too that the medical green light for him, it is imminent right now, and it should happen very, very soon indeed, which means that right the way through this week, he'll be building up to making that return at the weekend. And what we're hearing right now, though, is obviously he's not going to start that game. He is going to be introduced slowly, as we've seen with all of these players. Maybe half an hour is what we're thinking right now against Sevilla for Dani Olmo. And of course, we don't need to stress how important his return is for this Barcelona team. We've spoken about it on the channel before, guys. I don't think we've looked the same ever since he got injured. He has become such an integral part of this team so incredibly quickly, and I cannot wait to have him back there. He gels everything together. He is such an effective player in that central area, and for sure, his return will boost this team massively, guys. And of course, what all of this means here, thinking about all three of those players put together, Gavi, Fermin, Dani Olmo, look at the options that we have appearing right here. Those players there, that quality, that depth being added already now to Hansi Flick's squad, and even more so ahead of the kind of games that we have coming up. This is what we've been dreaming about, guys. This is what we've been waiting for every week, counting down, looking at those players who can come back. This is it. This is the moment, and now it's about to start happening. However, guys, although there are plenty of key players returning to Hansi Flick's squad right now, there is one that we still don't really know what is happening with at all. And it's a really curious case here surrounding Andreas Christensen, who right now is out with an Achilles injury that we don't really know the severity of it. It seems to be a difficult one to sort of understand, even for Barca's medical team, and there's been no real timeline on exactly when we could see Christensen again. Because, of course, guys, remember this injury to Christensen, it all really came to light over Dani Olmo. That was when it really did start to come out that Christensen has a problem. He's going to be on the sideline for quite some time. And then that allowed us actually to register Dani Olmo in his place. That's what we believe happened there. So some rumours now have started to come out over the international break that Christensen is feeling a lot better, that he could even be ready to return after the international break. But obviously, can he play? Because obviously it doesn't seem right now as though he is registered to play in La Liga for Barcelona. But the club right now, they're very, very quiet on this, because despite those rumours, it doesn't seem as though he is going to come back. It doesn't seem as though he may quite be ready to come back. And there's just no real information available right now. So guys, has anybody seen Andreas Christensen? Has anybody heard from him? Do we know what is happening at all with him? Because don't forget as well that in order to actually register Olmo in his place with La Liga, apparently Barca actually had to prove the severity of the problem to Christensen. They had to basically say to La Liga, well, he is going to be out for all of these months here. You've got to believe us. You've got to trust us on that. And in his place, we'd like Olmo, please. Now, we know that Olmo is registered. We know everything with that is absolutely fine. But I think it is going to be an interesting situation here. As time goes on, as Christensen may near a return, we don't know. What are the club going to do? What kind of steps are going to be taken here to sort of address this issue? And it's definitely a case to keep a close eye on. But finally though, guys, in today's video, another topic that I did want to speak to you about and get your thoughts on really are yet more words, and I know, more words from Luis Enrique, who of course in this documentary, lots of things coming out here, especially all surrounding the Barca PSG games, but this time, it's focused on a player. We're going to be talking about Luis Enrique's words on Ronald Araujo, because apparently there, before the second leg against Barca in the Champions League, Luis Enrique spoke to his players and said, Araujo is a top player, but he is the one who has the most trouble on the ball. Every time he receives the ball, if we block the passing lane, we are in. We must target him. And that was the feeling there from Luis Enrique, that in terms of that back line, in terms of Barca's build-up, you can target Araujo. He is the weak link, and we must look to exploit that. And again here, guys, I'm wondering what your reaction is to Luis Enrique's words, because honestly, like I said before when he was speaking about Xavi, I think it's all very unnecessary. We don't need to know every single thing that's being said behind the scenes, but I think certainly from Barca's point of view, it is kind of helpful to know what other teams are thinking. You know, when they face us there in their dressing room, what are the things that they're saying? What are they looking to target? Because obviously that means that we can look to improve those areas. We can actually look to address those areas and make sure we are better prepared. So do you believe that Araujo there on the ball is a weakness for Barca? But what I would also say about this is, could things be different now under Hansi Flick? Because again, we've spoken a lot about Flick and Araujo, how they can work together, how Araujo could slot into his lineup. But what is actually interesting is that I don't believe in Hansi Flick's system that Araujo will have as much of the ball. Because obviously under Xavi, it was very much a system there where we tried to build from the back. At times it was a slow build-up. It was obviously quite passive at times, and every player got on the ball quite a lot. You know, every player was expected to be very, very comfortable. But I think in Hansi Flick's setup, of course we still play with the ball, we still build from the back, but everything happens quicker. Everything there, that transition from back to front, it happens at a much quicker pace, and we can move the ball on much quicker. And I actually think here there's going to be less pressure on Araujo as a ball-playing defender than what we saw under Xavi. You know, he's still got to look at that area of his game, and he's still going to be expected there to really command the highest standards on the ball. But I don't think it's going to be as much, maybe, of an issue, because it is true that against the top teams, we are looking here at Luis Enrique's words, it is an area that may have been targeted. So let me know, guys, your thoughts on that there, on Lucho's words on Araujo, and of course let me know all of your thoughts down below on the injury updates that we've had on the channel today. And coming up very soon on the channel, we've got a really big video incoming, and it's all going to be based around Hansi Flick and his commandment and his style as the Barcelona coach. The changes that he's brought to this club. Really excited about it. Can't wait to bring it to you. That will be on the way soon. And I thank you indeed here, guys, for watching here today. Really, really appreciate it. And I will see you soon. But until next time, as always, Vejka, El Barça.